Pennsylvania, and it is now 2018, and I learned to telegraph more than 50 years ago by hanging around a railroad station on the Norfolk and Western Railroad and pestering the old-time telegrapher until he got me started. And even though the telegraph has now been defunct for commercial purposes for at least 40 years, there is a group of us who have a club called the Morse Telegraph Club, and we are able to use the internet to work our old telegraph instruments and keep in touch with one another. The internet circuit is available 24/7. All of our guys are older. We have only a few younger fellows coming along who want to invest the time to learn this. So I'll give you first a little demonstration of what telegraph sounds like. Now, this is not the beep beep stuff that the radio folks use. This is the 1830s stuff, when the only piece of electrical equipment in existence was an electromagnet. And that's what this is, an electromagnet attracting a bar of iron. Listen to this. And the way this works is very simple. A telegraph sounder is something so simple a high school student could build it. Telegraph sounder consists of two coils of real fine wire, and at the top is an iron bar. The coils of fine wire wound around an iron core form an electromagnet. When the magnet is de-energized by spring action, the armature is up. When the magnet is energized, it draws that iron armature down and closes the sounder. And you hear two clicks. One when the sounder goes down, second click when the sounder is de-energized and the lever goes up. And that's what we read, the space between the downstroke and the upstroke. I'm getting a call here, but we'll just put that on the back burner. Telegraph was invented in the 1830s. It took about 10 years to perfect. The reason it took so long to perfect was there were no batteries back then. There were no electromagnets. And the only wire you could get was for fence wire. This is the first battery cell. Okay? There we go. Well, that's not the first one, but that's an early one. That's what we call a wet cell battery, primary battery. Consists of a piece of copper, a piece of zinc, and in it you put dilute sulfuric acid. You attach the wire to the copper, to the zinc, a wire to the copper, and from that battery you got 1 volt, or 1.1 if the weather was warm. If you needed more than one battery, more than 1 volt to operate your telegraph circuit, you lined up a number of cells, wired them in series, so you got 1 volt, 2 volts, 3 volts, 4 volts, 5 volts, until you got enough voltage to work the telegraph line. So this is very primitive technology. Samuel Morse didn't know beans about mechanical and even less about electrical. He had a professor from Yale University help him wind the first magnet, and a professor from Princeton helped him to build the first battery. And eventually they cobbled up an operating telegraph. Samuel Morse's first telegraph actually was built on a wooden picture frame. Samuel Morse was an artist. That's what he was by trade. And he built his first thing on a wooden picture frame, and it was only after the technical people got involved that they started making instruments out of metal. So let's see, what else can I tell you? Our code is a dot-dash code. A short space, a short click, or a long click. Short click, long click. And we make combinations of those. For instance, one short click like this is our letter E. To make a dash, if If we put that dot and dash together, that's the letter A. Letter B is dash, dot, 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 and so on. And we have dot dash combinations for all 26 letters and for all 10 numbers from 1 through 9 and 0. And out of that combination of 35, 36 sounds, we create speech. We represent speech. We can send text. We can make our own diacritical marks, our own punctuations. For instance, if you want to send a comma in Telegraph, it's KO. If you want to send a dash, you send D and X. If you want to send a semicolon, you send S and I. These are all conventions that are worked out. So by putting dots and dashes together, we can make text, we can make numbers, and we can send.
Now, how does the railroad telegraphy differ from International Morse code?
Railroad telegraph is a great deal older. The code is different. Half of the letter combinations are different, and we hear our code in clicks, whereas the radio fellows hear theirs in beeps, oscillations, tones. So a radio operator, if he walks in here, first of all, he is staggered by the clicks, and he says, I can't read clicks. How can anybody do that? And even if he does learn the clicks, the letter combinations, the dots and dashes are different. What you see here is primitive, the old stuff, and it just never changed.
This was used up until when on the railroad?
Depends on where you were. The Norfolk and Western got rid of its telegraph lines about 1958. Some of the Western railroads were using telegraph up until the late 60s. And the B&O, of course the B&O was the Museum of All American Railroads. They are supposed to have had one telegraph circuit over sand patch from Cumberland to wherever, over on the west side of the mountain there, until Hurricane Agnes knocked it out in 1972. And at that point, they didn't need the telegraph because everything was moving by telephone and teletype, so they just never rebuilt it.
All right, thank you very much, Abe. We appreciate your taking the time to talk to us, and we will see you later.
All right, thank you for coming to DK Telegraph Office at Boyce, Virginia today. Hope you will come back again next year, and I will leave you by sending you the signal that is the way we always close when we leave one another on the wire, and that is by sending the numbers 7 and 3. 73 is our code for best regards to you. Here we go.